What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another morning after show where we are going to try and dissect that absolute shit show that went on last night. Everything is up for question now. The whole fucking thing needs to be torn down and built back up now. And I've just had enough of it all. The players got to take a long, hard look at themselves. Jose Mourinho as well doesn't come away from this blameless. He is completely needs to take a long, hard look at himself. The board, Daniel Levy, Joe Lewis, Enoch, the way they've conducted themselves since probably the middle state, well, the whole of the Spurs tenure, to be honest, need to take a long, hard look at themselves. And I'm just struggling at the moment. I really am struggling with things.
You've come in for blood today.
I've come in for absolute blood, and I'm ready. I'm literally ready to tear the whole thing down and build it back up. Whether it takes us 3, 4, 5 years, I don't care, man. We just need to get this right.
Oh, I was hoping last night was a bad nightmare. Honestly, I woke up this morning. I was like, was that a nightmare or did it actually happen last night?
I went to bed in a really bad mood. I woke up in an even worse mood.
Honestly, I didn't get much good quality sleep last night. What an absolute disgrace yesterday was. Still can't get over it. I still can't get over how we absolutely threw away that 2-goal advantage to Dynamo Zagreb with the team we had a manager in prison. I just can't believe it. I still can't believe it. And there are serious questions need to be asked about where this club is going and where we're at the moment. I thought we were, for large parts of the season, I did think that we were potentially on the right path, and we had a manager who could show us how to get over the line in these big games. And I thought this was building to something, but it's building to nothing. It's built to nothing. We're now outsiders for in the top 4 race. We're out of the Europa League. And the only chance of silverware is a Epoxy Carabao Cup in April, which we probably won't even win that either. So it's all looking very, very negative at the moment. The players take massive responsibility for how they conducted themselves yesterday. Jose must take big responsibility for the way he's managed his squad. And given that the squad is good enough to be in a lot better position they are now, and the fact that for some reason there's a fractured squad, he has to take responsibility for why it's fractured as well as the players have to take responsibility because this predates Mourinho. Mourinho has to take responsibility for not solving the issue and not identifying what the problem is and trying to get players on side. And if he can't do that, then that's also a failing of his, and he has to take responsibility for that. So at the moment, I can't see him being here next season the way things are heading. If we limp out of the top 4 race, and especially even if we could win the Carabao Cup final and he could still be gone.
If we win the Carabao Cup and we finish outside the top 4, I want him gone.
I think he will still be gone.
I want him gone, man. I've had enough of this absolute disaster class that we call the last couple of seasons. I really do, man. And this season, it's just all come to a head. I mean, we've been papering over the cracks for so many years now. And it's time to just rip it all down and build it all back together. We need a manager with a long-term plan. We need a manager that's going to buy in to Daniel Levy's methods.
Does that involve selling Harry Kane?
Does it involve selling Harry Kane? I don't know. I mean, that's up to Harry Kane. That's not up to us. That's up to Harry Kane. Because if he...
What if we need to sell Harry Kane to kick off a rebuild?
I mean, Harry Kane's not gonna want to stay for a rebuild. Why would he want to stay for a rebuild?
That's what I'm saying. Well, if we need to sell him to kick off a rebuild.
Yeah, I think look, obviously I don't want that to happen, but it might have to happen. I don't want to sell Harry Kane, but the way things are, why is Harry Kane going to stay here to rebuild with a club that's going to be, Europa League max for the next couple of years and, not Champions League football or fighting for big things for at least 3-4 years, 5 years? What's he going to stay here for? By that time, he's going to be 30, 31.
I'm just saying. Well, you say we need a rebuild that could take 3-4 years, but does that involve? Would you? I mean, like, if it meant selling Harry Kane, is that what it would have to take?
Like I said, I don't want it to happen. I don't want Harry Kane to be sold for the rebuild to happen. But in the eyes of Harry Kane, in the mind of Harry Kane, why would he stay here?
No, but you're not answering the question. Would you sell Harry Kane if it meant that's what it took to start the rebuild?
I don't know, man. I don't think it should come to that. I think the owners and stuff have enough money to not sell Harry Kane and do this rebuild. But you know what the owners are like, and you know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, we are going to have to sell Harry Kane, in my opinion, because first of all, he's not going to want to stay.
There's going to be no money.
First of all, he's not going to want to stay, and second of all, to be honest, I think Levy would rather keep him than sell him for the rebuild. I reckon we would be able to find some sort of money, but I think it's the question of Harry Kane. He's not going to want to stay. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't know Spurs fan in their right mind would blame Harry Kane for leaving right now. some even actively wishing him through the door. I would say, saying you should get out of this club while you can, and it's really so bad at the moment the way things are in this squad.
But this Hugo Lloris interview after the game yesterday pretty much confirmed in all our minds what we all think of this current crop of players.
Yep.
Absolutely spot on from Hugo Lloris yesterday. And, the things that he was saying were quite damning, man. And to be honest, we've all known this for a while now about this crop of players.
Pochettino spoke of an attitude problem as well. It's not only Jose, or Jose spoke about it yesterday, but it's not only Jose or the Lloris who've spoken about it. These are problems that have cropped up before at the end of the Pochettino era, and we haven't been able to solve them. We haven't been able to get people out of the club, maybe who are providing a big influence in the dressing room. Now, do you reckon it provides more context to that moment where, remember when Mourinho's talking to Sacramento in the documentary near the beginning of when he got hired, and he was like, all right, tell me what you know, like what you've learned. And he was like, Moussa Sissoko has a big influence in the dressing room. And he was like, F. Do you remember that? When Mourinho was like he's like swearing and and maybe someone like Sissoko has too much influence and that's having a negative effect on the squad, and like all these fringe players who are being maybe either not frozen out or Mourinho's given them some maybe hard truths and they're downing tools now. maybe like these guys are absolutely letting the club down.
Yeah.
Absolutely letting the club down, not playing
Hugo
for the
Lloris
badge,
said
is what
it.
he said.
Hugo was pointing to the badge and saying, this is the most important thing. The club. This is the most important thing. And the players are they're not even playing for themselves. They're doing themselves a disservice. They're doing the club a disservice. They're doing the game of football a disservice as well. They're absolutely disgraces, every single one of them.
Yeah.
And I've literally had it up to here with all of them, and I'm ready for all of them to just get out my club right now because they're an absolute disgrace to this football club. They really are.
Cody Mack says, if we have no money for players, do we have to sell someone to sack Jose? I have a special brand of coffee for mornings like this. The way 2021 has gone, my pantry is almost bare of it. There is no rebuilding without selling Kane. Spend or die slowly. I worry he might be right.
Let's look at the bloody squad. Let's actually look at it and see. Yeah, go to get your phone up in the squad. Go to the Tottenham website and look at this squad, and let's see who exactly with what we're actually dealing with right now.
One sec. Okay, wrong thing.
And yeah, if you're new here, do scroll down, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. And also, if you want us to react to anything, then do tag us on Twitter and we'll be reacting to your tweets or any kind of memes or anything you want us to react to. We've got a super chat here from Adam1882. He said, we need to do what Arsenal have done this season. Sell the deadwood, bring through our youth and send Jose on his way at the end of the year. And to be honest, I completely agree with that. But let's bring up this squad. And let's look at exactly what we're dealing with here. Hugo Lloris, aging goalkeeper. I think that he was absolutely spot on in what he said last night, but he's going to ultimately have to leave over the next year or so, especially if he doesn't have to sign that contract. Matt Doherty, he can get out. I'm done with him. He's rubbish. Reguilon, to be honest, his performances haven't been up to scratch the last couple of games, but I'd keep him for sure. Toby Alderweireld, an ageing defender, past his peak. Højbjerg, he's been asked to do it all alone this season in that position. I'd keep him, but he can't do it every single week in, week out with no help.
Yeah, and he needs rotation, you know.
Exactly.
He needs to be able to come out of the team sometimes without the team just shitting the bed whenever he comes out of it. That's what seems to happen a lot of the time.
Davinson Sanchez, not good enough. Heung-min Son, nothing needs to be said about him. Harry Winks, probably not good enough. Gareth Bale, I mean, I don't know about Gareth Bale. I just don't know. Harry Kane is Harry Kane. Eric Lamela, I mean, he's starting to play well now, but it's taken 7-8 years for him to do it. Joe Hart, Joe Rodon, no comment. Eric Dyer, not good enough. Moussa Sissoko, not good enough. Giovanni Lo Celso, good player. Dele Alli, hasn't played well in 3 years now consistently. Steven Bergwijn, a young player coming through. I don't want to put too much on him. Serge Aurier, consistently, is he good enough? I don't know. Japhet Tanganga, young player coming through. Lucas Moura, hot and cold. I mean, he's found a new lease of life at Tottenham the last couple of weeks, but at least with Lucas Moura, you know you're going to see 100% on that football pitch. So I'm not going to put him down too much. Tanguy Ndombele has the potential to be a top class midfielder. And then you've got Ben Davis, who can go as well. So, I mean, apart from that, you've got Danny Rose, who's going this summer, and Carlos Vinicius, who's probably also going to go this summer back to Benfica.
So a lot of players there who just aren't good enough.
There's a lot of players. Out of all those players, who did I maybe 4 or 5? I said that could stay. Who was it? Tanguy Ndombele, Lucas Moura, Giovanni Lo Celso,
Højbjerg, Kane and Son.
Højbjerg, Kane and Son, and Reguilon.
Well, that's the thing. When we have our, that's exactly what Hugo was saying. When we have the players starting, the starting 11, we have the players who Mourinho trusts. You know, things aren't so bad. But as soon as we have some injuries or we have to use the squad, big problems start coming up, and that's what we're seeing every single time. And that's what Mourinho alluded to when he said early in the season he made a lot of changes for the Antwerp game. And things really went flat in that game, and like the attitude was all wrong. We ended up losing, and he said He said he's tried to really avoid doing that since. Only recently, I think it was in the Wolfsburger game, he said, so he started to trust some of the players, some of the fringe players. And I guess he gave them too much trust because he completely let them down in this one. Completely let them down. And the fact they couldn't hold on to a 2-0 lead speaks volumes of their attitude and where they're at the moment.
And you know what it is with Jose? I'm not like saying that Jose is a bad manager. I'm not saying Jose can't see through this rebuild or something, because I actually think he can. And I think if we got Jose's players in, I actually think that we could do something. But I do think Jose is just too much of a polarizing character to get everyone on side all at the same time. Because every club he's been at, he's always had players that have gone against him. Always. And I just feel like we need a manager to come in, a lovable manager that everyone is going to sing from the same hymn sheet.
Maybe.
That is my opinion.
We had that under Poch, and they threw him under the bus as well.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why.
But they threw him under. But we needed that rebuild before they threw him under the bus. That's up down to the top. Daniel Levy, Joe Lewis, Enoch. That is why Pochettino got thrown under the bus, because we never had that rebuild.
Yeah.
That is exactly why. So we need to start. We need to start again. We need to start again. We need to get that kind of early Poch mentality back, and we need to keep and we need to learn from our mistakes that we kind of suffered from under Poch. That's the facts of the matter.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of super chats coming in. Let's read through some of them. Where are they? Manny Man says, if we sell Son or Kane, we all know the money won't be used for a rebuild. It will go straight into Enoch's back pocket or towards the debt. Facts. If we would sell Harry Kane and not replace him, I think then no one will watch Spurs anymore, honestly, if that would happen.
If what?
If we sold Harry Kane and didn't replace him.
Replace him with Dane Scarlett.
Sunny LA 32 says, this is player sabotage. Confirmed this. The key architects of this are Sissoko, Dyer, Serge. Senior players no longer first choice. Shameful, woeful. So sounds like I don't know how he's got this confirmed, but apparently that's what he's saying. He's saying Sissoko, Dyer, and Serge are the architects of this. Well, Dyer was one of his most trusted players at the beginning of the season. So
yeah, you also got to question why. Because everyone said at the time, why? Everyone. Do you remember at the beginning of the season, we saw this article from Alistair Gold saying Eric Dyer is our number one centre-back.
Like, why?
And both of us were like, what the hell?
Like, number one, yeah, I think we were in trouble if that's the case. Peter P says, doubt Son will stay either, with his dad as his agent will be telling him if he stays, he can't for another rebuild. He wants to win things. Another one, Son, who hasn't won a thing as well at Spurs, and he definitely deserves better. Josh King says, are we taking calls? Get me on.
We can do. We'll take calls, Josh, on the pre-match post-pre-match press conference reaction. We'll be going live on there around 1 o'clock, 1:30. So, Josh, please do call in for that show.
Son in LA 32. Sorry, Lloris effectively confirmed this in his interview. Maybe that's what. Maybe that's right.
Effectively confirmed what?
That what he was saying about the players about the players.
I do feel for Jose. I really do. Because I feel he's trying to implement something on this team and just no one... Well, there are some players that are trying to sing to his hymn sheet, but the majority of them are not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I feel like he's telling them a lot of hard truths that maybe a lot of them don't want to hear. And I think maybe it's rubbing them the wrong way, but I think it's one of those things, if you have the right mentality, you can react in the right way. But in this modern era, if you criticise players, they get all upset, and and it's different to how they were back when Jose was on top of his game, where you had players like Terry and Lampard, where you can probably tell them anything and they'll take it on board as constructively and try and improve their game. Whereas nowadays, they don't like to hear it, these players. And I don't think I think Mourinho can still be successful. Maybe not here at how the things are going, but I think he can be a good manager. I can see it with the way he's implemented some things. But at the moment, you kind of need everyone on side for this kind of thing. The same under Poch. Same with how we were under Poch. You need, just like how at the beginning of his tenure, we didn't have everyone on side, and it was really, really faltering quite badly. And we needed to get rid of those bad eggs. I think it is a similar situation here, but I worry that that I worry that the bad eggs are maybe too influential.
Do you think?
Team.
Yeah. Do you think just things have festered a bit too much, and maybe Mourinho had to do this when he first came in?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel bad for him in a sense that his time here has been very difficult in terms of like. He was manager for like 5 months, and the COVID came in, and then he's had lockdown, and then he's had all these different things, and then like this first year has been difficult for everyone, not just us. It's been difficult for a lot of teams this year, so he's had to deal with that as well. And this squad, maybe he didn't get his outs and ins, and maybe he wanted to. I think in a perfect world, in the summer last summer he would have dealt with the whole squad, but I don't think he could have with other players. With teams not really willing to spend money on other teams' fringe players in that kind of market, it was hard to shift.
That's it as well, because when you remember when Poch first came in, like you were mentioning it yesterday, how we sold out a lot of players.
Like 13 of them.
We sold a lot of players that summer, but the market was so different then. The market then, everyone was spending here, spending there. We'll take your fringe players, you know what I mean?
Jeff Schlupp going for 13,
you know what I
mean?
There's just players moving around left, right and centre, but that market it's just not the same market anymore. And if we want to sell our like 10 players, let's say this summer, it's not happening, especially not for the money that Daniel Levy wants.
Exactly. Like players we sold that first summer under Poch: Soldado, Townsend, Paulinho, Capu, Stambouli, Chiriches, Holtby, Lennon, Kabul. Like that's Adebayor, Fazio. That is a long list of players that a lot of them we spent a lot of money on. Or a lot of those players. And a lot of them maybe even have been there for a while and been fairly influential at the time. But we shifted a lot of them. We shifted a lot of those players, but as you say, it was a lot easier back then to shift a lot of these players. Capu to Watford for 10 million. You're not gonna be able to do that now. Like Soldado for 15 million. Like things like that. You're not gonna be able to do. Kabul for 7-8 million. Like the players to sign, the players like who's going to spend 10-15 million on Sissoko? That's probably what he's worth, but he's not. No one's going to spend that in this market. So that's the kind of thing we're up against, and I feel for Mourinho in that sense. But on the flip side, with the squad of players we have, there's no excuses for being where we are at the moment. 8th in the league, out of the last 16. That should not be the case. Like with the crop of players we have, and he's got to take responsibility for the man management side and how he hasn't been able to get everyone singing from the same hymn sheet. But I think in terms of who the main problem is, I think the players are definitely the main problem. But Mourinho, unfortunately, has to take a lot of responsibility as well because it's his manager's job to get everyone playing together.
But ultimately, until we get these players out the door, nothing's ever going to change.
Yeah, because you don't think a new manager's going to come in and want his own methods and want the players trying even harder and want being even more intense and things like that. And it's not going to be a quick fix at all unless we have a crazy summer where we're selling everyone. Like it's not going to happen. So these problems run a lot deeper than Jose. But Jose is going to be the fall guy. I think I do feel bad for him, but I also think he's underachieved, and I can't deny that. His man managing the team, at the end of the day, you got to say it's failed or it's failing big time at the moment.
Hell, Chelsea got Porto in the Champions League.
Oh shit, the draw.
Man City, Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, Porto, Bayern Munich, PSG, and Real Madrid, Liverpool.
Oh wow, some tasty ties there. Big G says, "Morning guys." Let's get it on the tweet. Actually, let's get it here on the phone. Big G, morning guys. For me, I'm still 80% blame the players and 20% blame Jose. No excuse with that team. He put out one goal we needed, for God's sake. So Spurs, the absolute shambles. Let's hope we can win the Carabao and Woolwich go out in the next round. I mean, I'm worried. What's going to happen, I think, at the moment is one of United or Arsenal probably going to win the tournament.
I don't mind United. I don't care if United win it, but Arsenal cannot be winning that. I really couldn't give a shit if United win that Europa League.
Cody Mack says Levy has staked his reputation on Jose hiring. If he goes, Levy goes. ENIC may not want to let go of Levy. No market for our deadwood. So if we don't invest our 100 million this summer, we are screwed. Until the current youth reach their prime, we will be screwed. Maybe he used a bit more colourful language, I would say. Should we react to what Mourinho had to say yesterday?
Yeah, let's take a look at the press conference.
We got the press conference we can watch. So we actually haven't seen this yet. I've seen a few quotes, but actually haven't seen what he's actually said. So I'm watching it for the first time. Couldn't bring myself to watch the whole thing last night.
A post-match press conference for our game against Dinamo Zagreb.
Jose, just in relation to that game there tonight, do you feel Dynamo Zagreb showed a bit more hunger, a bit more desire in terms of their performance? Did they want it that bit more?
God, he's switching.
Yeah, he's furious.
Yeah.
Can't you?
I haven't pressed anything.
No, you can't hear. Look at him.
Bilo što se tiče utakmice s Dinamom, jeste li primijetili da je Dinamo pokazao više želje? Trener je odgovorio vrlo kratko, puno više.
Jose, it was a fairly shocking result. I'm sure you're very disappointed. Can you put into words what happened?
I don't know if you had a chance to watch my flash interview after the game. I believe that I can only repeat what I told. Nothing new to tell you. So if you watch it, I don't need to repeat. If you want me to repeat, of course I can try to use the same words that can reflect a little bit my feelings, what I feel and what I felt about the game. If you want me to try to repeat it, I can. But if you listen to it before, there is nothing new that I can say.
Pitanje je bilo za trenera, što ste mislili o utakmici za vrijeme i sad nakon, je li to za vas bio šok, jeste li razočarani, što se zapravo dogodilo? Trener je pitao, jeste li gledali intervju nakon utakmice? Mogu samo ponoviti ono što sam već rekao na intervju, ništa novo nemam za reći.
Jose, in that flash interview, you spoke about a difference in attitude between the two teams. What do you put that down to?
Difference in attitude between the two teams. What do you put it down to? You said that in the BT interview.
I believe that by surprise, we were not caught. Because before the game, I told the players to play to win. I told the players to refuse a feeling of if we draw or if we lose 1-0 or 2-1 is okay. I told the players, don't trust, don't go in that direction. Play the game to be dominant, play the game to win it. At half time, even with the result 0-0, I told the players, don't trust it, don't do it. If they score a goal, even I told minute 75, 80, 85, the game is open and then they will believe. So by surprise, the players were not caught. So it was not a surprise. Dinamo attitude, I believe, is humble, is desire, is motivation, is pride, is to prove themselves that they have talent, to prove even the world football market that they have quality. So they played with a lot of desire. That I can call it also professionalism, because for me professionalism starts exactly in the attitude. To be a professional, you must have attitude every day and every minute of every game. Then more talent, less talent makes a difference between players. But what is never negotiable is that attitude, and they beat us on attitude.
How many times have we been beaten on attitude this season?
Too many times.
Antwerp. I know we didn't lose that. Well, did we lose to Antwerp this season?
1-0.
We lost Andrew, didn't we?
We lost. No, we lost 1-1. We beat them at home.
What was the
we
3-all?
lost. No, that was Lask.
Oh, Lask. So you got to say Lask. You got to say Antwerp. You got to say this game. You'd even say some of the Premier League games this season that we've lost.
A lot of the Premier League games.
It's just not good enough. And
I think when we play the top teams, I think for some reason against the teams obviously in the bottom half of the table, I think our quality's maybe just taken us through. But I think when we face the top teams, where
anyone in the top half.
Yeah, in the top half teams, I think when we play them, when things like when the quality is actually similar, but it comes down to stuff like attitude, and it comes down to those fine lines, we've been found wanting every single time. But I don't understand who these players think they are. Like,
I just don't
what
understand
they think they've achieved.
How the hell do these players go home to their families at night with a smiling face? Which one of those players woke up in the morning?
Paycheck, probably.
Tell me, which one of those players woke up in the morning without a smile on their face? What, Hugo Lloris? That was about it? Do any of them else care? Do any of them care that they're putting the fans through this week in, week out? Like Hugo Lloris said, every single season we start the season with so much hope, and they let us down every single year. Even when they're at their pomp, even when they were playing for the manager, they let us down. And now they're not even playing for the manager. How do they go home and look at their families? It's an absolute disgrace.
Do you think all this like stuff that is good for social media might actually be an indicative of a squad not maybe taking the season seriously, like all this mafia stuff and all that kind of stuff? Like, maybe you could argue it's like good for team morale and it's like good for a bit of banter, but is it indicative of maybe a culture in the dressing room of maybe that there's not serious enough?
I think there's two ways you can look at it. Obviously, right in the situation we're in, there's only one way you can look at it, in my opinion. But on the whole thing, there's two ways you can look at it. If the players are doing this kind of stuff, and we're top of the league, we're going through into the cups, and we're going well, then I think you can say that's good camaraderie within the dressing room and stuff like that. But when things are not going well, you don't want to see this kind of stuff on social media from the players. You want to see them working hard in training. You want to see them putting the effort on in the pitch. When you're seeing this Welsh Mafia, La Mafia stuff, and they're putting in them performances like that on the pitch, come on, man. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. How do they go home at night and speak to their families?
I mean, I agree in terms of the way they conducted themselves at the moment is absolutely shameful. And it's so hard to put your finger on why they think they can not have this kind of attitude going into games when this should be their bread and butter. This is their careers they're talking about. This is a squad of players who haven't won anything. So I don't understand why they don't feel the need to go to like treat every game like it's your last game. You know what I mean? To like put everything into it and to try and achieve something. It's like they're happy. They've got to a certain stage and they're just happy to just coast by now at the moment. They've got to a certain level. It's like they've made it. Let's just coast now. No ambition. We don't need to strive for anything.
Yeah, you know what? We got to a Champions League final once. Well, our life's complete.
Exactly. They haven't done anything. Super chat here from Matt 1108 says, Mourinho is in charge of the player management, training, development, etc., and some need to still not blaming him. Wake up, Levy. Yeah, look, of course, it's his player management that obviously you have to criticise. You have to say if he can't get everyone on side and can't get everyone working as hard as possible, he must take responsibility for that. But I think First of all, it's the players' responsibility themselves to do that. I think if you're a top-level professional getting these kind of wages, you shouldn't need a manager to motivate you to simply do your job to get through a tie while you're 2-0 up in a Europa League game. You shouldn't need the manager for that. If you do need the manager for that's more your problem than the manager's problem. But the fact that the manager can't get you motivated is also his prerogative.
Where's the self-pride, man? Where's the self-pride? Where's the pride in themselves? Do they literally just not care about anything? They just want to drift off into the abyss and just be laughed at. They just want to be a laughingstock. Josh King with the super chat saying, I might not be able to make a call at that time due to work, but read my Twitter DM for thoughts on the situation.
Right, go on. I'll read his DM. It's a long one. Let's go for it. He says, Message for the morning after. I keep hearing people saying it's not all Jose's fault, and they are right. The players and the board have to take responsibility as well. However, anyone who honestly wants us to sack the players and give Jose a rebuild is not thinking straight. In order to deserve a rebuild, a manager has to show promise. Jose has shown no promise so far. In fact, quite the opposite. Why would you want to give Jose a rebuild when we don't play a promising style of football? He makes baffling selections, decisions based off favouritism, e.g. Dyer, Sissoko, Doherty, Lucas. He always digs out the players after a defeat, something actually naming names. Great modern managers don't do this. He does not have a clear plan of attack. Just shouting attack isn't enough. Yeah, I'll come into that in a sec. Poch showed promise in his first season. We pressed Arsenal and Chelsea off the park, so he deserved the rebuild clear out that he got. We started fighting for the badge again, and by the end of the season, all the fans were behind him. This is a very different situation to Jose's current one. First of all, I disagree with that.
Which bit do you disagree with?
A few bits I disagree with. First of all, him saying he does not have a clear plan of attack, just shouting attack is enough. That managers don't exactly shout very complicated analytical instructions when they're shouting with the touchline. When you're at the touchline, the what you've planned out that's pretty much done at that point. Like, yeah, you can make tactical switches during the game with subs and you can send out instructions, but when you're shouting stuff at the touchline, this isn't a time to shout really complicated analytical stuff. You can't. You have to get a very simple message across, and what you're saying should correlate, should become a trigger to the player. So it needs to be simple instructions.
Nobody knows what's going on in the training ground. Nobody knows what's going on in the training ground, but we did have that article from The Athletic a few months ago.
Yeah, we did, which was worrying.
But that kind of ties into his message, the article from The Athletic, with the lack of attacking training.
What I'm saying is, people saying, you actually have to plan your press. You can't just shout press from the touchline and expect that to work. It's like, that's not... You can't level that criticism because that's... Well, you can't set triggers on the touchline by shouting. You do that on the training ground, and then what you say on the touchline,
it's just to reinforce it and reinforce what you're saying on the training ground.
Exactly, it has to be simple so the players know exactly what you want. It can't be overcomplicated stuff. So I don't like that criticism, but I get what you're saying. Clearly, the plan of attack isn't very strong when we can't get a goal against Zagreb. And then what was the last thing he said? He said all the fans were behind him at the end of the season. No, they weren't. I knew a lot of fans who were not behind Pochettino at the end of that season. And not only that, I remember the first four games of that following season. What? Well, the first 4 games of the following season under Pochettino, when things did start to go right, we actually didn't win the first 4 games. I remember we lost to United, and then we drew the next 4 to Stoke, Everton, and I can't remember who the other one was. We didn't win the first 4 games of the season. I remember a lot of people were saying he should be gone. A lot of people were saying clearly this isn't working until it did start to go right. Until we did start getting things did start to click. So I don't think it's so simple as saying that everyone was on board after Pochettino's first season, because a lot of the football was quite bad. And yeah, he's right. He did show promise with those performances against Chelsea, against Arsenal.
Are you saying Pochettino's first season or his second season?
Both.
Because his first season, he had to cut out a lot of deadwood.
Correct.
The second season, yeah, he had a bad start, but yeah. I do feel that the majority of the squad were on side though in his second season.
Squad? Is he talking about squad or fans and stuff? I don't know what he's talking about. He said the fans were behind him. I'm saying after the first 4 games of his second season, a lot of fans weren't.
Yeah, no,
I remember a lot of fans wanted him out because we hadn't won the first 4 games of the season, and we had a really dodgy first season, and people were saying, "Where are we going?"
But he quickly won the fans back, didn't he?
Of course he did, because performances drastically changed, and he had the whole. He had got rid of the deadwood. He had all the players on side. It was only a matter of time before it clicked. I would say with Mourinho this season, yeah, it's gone wrong really badly. But there were times we did show promise, and when we were all together, it was quite strong. I would say at times when we had all the first team, especially when we were near the top of the league during November, December, and we had. I thought the performance against Man City was really, really impressive. I still look back at that performance and thought that was a very, very good performance. And I think there were times where we showed what we do. Where everyone's pulling towards his philosophy and how he wants to play. I think we had some good results and we had some good showings, but I think as soon as we got injuries and stuff, we had to use the fringe players more. We had to use a lot more rotation. We're seeing a lot more problems. And now, look, it's clearly gone completely wrong. And now we've got this where we'll point to a fractured dressing room. And I think Josh King makes some good points. I think when he says that Mourinho he digging out the players and stuff in public, it's not a good look, and he's obviously going to come under a lot of criticism when things start to go wrong. That he's that he's fracturing the dressing room with those kind of comments, and I completely agree with that. Maybe that should be left inside the dressing room and stuff like that. And also,
to be honest,
picking his favourites, sticking with Dyer and stuff for too long.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But to be honest, with the calling out the players thing, I actually want him to be calling out the players right now. That's what I want to see. I want to see him digging into the players because the players are just not doing enough. The players are an absolute disgrace, and I want to see them being called out. I want to see them answer for it. I want to see players like all these players that we're talking about not giving a shit, you know, your Moussa Sissoko's and all that kind of stuff. I want to see them come out. I want to see Hugo Lloris challenge them. I want to see Jose Mourinho challenge them. I've had enough of these players. I really have, and I want them all gone out of this football club. And until they're all gone, nothing is going to change, and I'm promise you that.
All right, let's carry on watching the press conference. Let's see what else Mourinho's got to say. I think he's absolutely spot on so far, Jose, though.
Dakle, pitanje je bilo što mislite, sam rekao svojim igračima, morate igrati za pobjedu 0-0, rekao sam ne vjerujte u biće Dinamovog stava i Dinamove igrice i na taj način su finalnost. Pokazali su svoj stav i na takav način su nas i pobjedili. Svoje dva pitanja želeli li...
Speaking for a while. Here we go.
I can't hear anyone.
Ne čujemo vas.
If it's not possible, we'll just move on.
They're basically, he's answering and they're translating his answers after every bloody question.
Oh, I see.
One sec.
It's fine.
So the 8-minute press conference is probably actually just a 3-minute press conference.
Probably.
I got a super chat here from Jerome Cloridor saying,
Anyone?
boys, I think he needs to dig them out because those players have been letting us down time and time again. Under Poch, they bottle it, and now and again they let us down. I'm sick of it, and I want them called out. And that's exactly what I was saying. I completely agree with that. I think these players need to be called out. They need to take a long, hard look at themselves. They need to show a bit of pride in themselves. They need to show a bit of pride in their job. You know what I mean? If anyone else put that kind of effort in a 9-to-5 job, they'd be sacked.
Yeah, especially the way they're doing. I don't know if he started answering again. Can we get it back up? Yeah.
That I command is to tell you, believe or don't.
One sec.
About the game of Mislav Oršić, how do you comment it? What's your comment on his?
Look, the first thing that I command is to tell you, believe or don't believe, that my players, they watch and watch and watch Oršić actions during his career. We prepared with the analysts clips of the qualities of every player, and the goals that Oršić scored, I saw them all. I watched them all, and my players, they watched them all. So I don't know what to say. I can only say that the first goal, I watched it before. The second goal, I watched it before. And the third goal, I watched it before. That's the only thing that I can say. I prepare my players to play against Oršić. I gave them all the information about Oršić. And that's the only thing that I can say. Congratulations to him. Because, of course, it's a great night for him.
So who takes ultimate responsibility when he's saying that he's given the players all the information needed to analyse, stop Oršić and the way he plays? Does it? I don't know. I've got a bit of a problem with that because I've got to say, if your information or your way of stopping him was that strong, then that should have happened. But then on the flip side, you've got to say, is it the players' responsibility to take that information on board and make sure that they take it in and use that information right, or is it Jose's responsibility to make sure they use that information correctly?
I think blame goes on everyone, but we've seen time and time again these players' application Their attitude on the pitch absolutely stinks. They're an absolute disgrace to you, to me, this football club, everyone watching, all the fan base, Premier League players. I mean, they let even English football down last night, never mind Tottenham fan base. I mean, Tottenham go crashing out of Europe because of these players' attitude. So for me, you got to look at these players. You have to look at these players. Jose Mourinho, I think that, look, you've got to give blame to Jose Mourinho, but I think ultimately the players have got to take full responsibility for this.
But you could argue from one side, like if it was a better player, say you had like a great right back or something, because I thought Aurier was pretty poor last night, although he's been pretty consistently good, I think, throughout the season. But let's say you had like, I don't know, Kimmich or something, a right back, right? Maybe when he gets that information Jose is giving him, he can use it in the right way than say Aurier does. But on the flip side, you can only coach with what you have, and you have to make sure that what the player you have is up to
Nah, come on. The players on the pitch yesterday were good enough.
Yeah, so I'm saying. So whose responsibility is it then to make sure
it's the attitude of the
the information is being used correctly? If Mourinho is saying he's given the players all the information they need to deal with the threats that are coming from the opposition, so he's saying he's given them all the information to analyse Orsic, how he likes to play and how to stop him. If they don't take that information on board, is it his fault for not getting the message across, or is it the players' fault for not taking on the information?
Like I said, it's both fault, but ultimately the bucks is I think it goes down to the players for lack of attitude. We didn't lose last night because of quality. We lost last night because of that stinking attitude that stunk out the whole of Croatia last night. Nothing to do with Jose Mourinho's instructions, in my opinion. All to do with application on the pitch and attitude on the pitch. That is why we lost last night.
Especially when you have, for example, that third goal where he dribbled past three players that tackle inside. It's like, it's not. I'm sure Mourinho didn't tell him, all right, when he dribbles inside, don't tackle him and just let him get a run and shot. Like, you have three players and none of them attempt to stop him, and they just let him get a free shot from 25 yards. And yeah, it was a good strike, but the build-up to that was atrocious, absolutely atrocious. No one putting a foot in.
This performance after that North London derby performance.
Oh man.
I mean, those two compounded, like Hugo Lloris said, it's just an accumulation. And if we lose this weekend, oh my days, I really don't know what we're going to do for the rest of the season.
Jerome Cloridor says they watch Orsic, but he dribbled past four players to score his third goal. What a joke. Completely agree. And Luke Diamond says, how do I go about calling in later? Well, we'll be putting in a link in the next stream. We're doing a press conference reaction to the pre-Villa one, so that'll be later on today.
It'll be in the community section.
So I'll be in the community section. Go check that out. So do you think also you could argue that because and that might be proof that, you know, Mourinho's saying how he's analysed Orsic and he's given all the players everything to deal with him, but maybe you could argue that we shouldn't be so focused on the opposition, and if we were more focused on how we play and how we attack and more focused not on their strengths but our strengths, maybe we wouldn't have needed to deal with him and we would have got that goal. Yeah,
you could be right there, but ultimately the players have got to buy into the manager's methods. He is the manager, he is the boss, he tells you what to do. If you're not going to listen to him, we're not going to get anywhere. You can't just go out on the pitch and do your own thing. You've got to listen to the manager. Mm-hmm. And if they listened to the manager and showed the right attitude on the pitch, we would have won that. We would have gone through last night. We would have got that goal. Come on, man. It's not because of Jose. I mean, yeah, look, Jose takes some blame, but it's not because we didn't play to our strength while we didn't win that game. It was purely because of attitude on the pitch. There's many ways to win a football game.
Who do these players think they are, man? Honestly,
exactly. They're an absolute disgrace. Super chat here from YP Toretta saying, Ben, Sim, which player would you guys give even though we need money for the rebuild?
No, which we
keep, sorry.
Yeah, as we said.
Only the ones that are worth any money.
Reguilon, Højbjerg, Lo Celso and Ndombele, Kane, Son, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe even Lucas.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. All right, let's keep going.
How long left is this?
There's a couple, 4 minutes, 3 minutes.
Kako imate komentar na Mislava Ćorićeve akcije? Ne znam što reći, samo da mu čestitam jer...
Say that, Jose.
obviously the last two games you haven't had the attitude or the desire that you want from your players, and obviously you've just said that you've warned them and told them various things not to do. Does it concern you that they're not heeding your advice or listening to you, responding?
Of course concerns me. Of course concerns me. We work very hard. We try to provide the best conditions for the players to perform. Of course, it concerns me. My position as a head coach is a position that stops me to, or at least makes me uncomfortable to come in front of the cameras and to go deep on analyze. And I hope that you can understand that. But I believe that all of us, we have to be humble enough to accept any critic that you can make of our work. But it's not for me to go on that.
Pitanje je bilo
Attitude stinks. Super chat here from Jerome Corridor saying, all I can say is that they are lucky fans are not in the stadium because the likes of Winks, Sissoko, Dyer, Davis would get so much abuse. They are lucky, to be honest. They are really lucky.
They're very lucky. Jerome, but he was asked if he's concerned about the players not listening to him, and he said, of course it concerns me. That's a worry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big, big worry.
But, we even said this when Jose first came in. Do you not remember Moussa Sissoko coming out after a game when Jose first joined and saying, we lost this game because we never listened to Jose?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Suddenly, I can't remember what game that was.
It was right at the beginning, though.
Yeah, near the beginning.
So, those were signs of things to come.
Now we're in this situation.
We've got a direct message here from David Harris, the Irish Hotspur, quite a long one, so let me get stuck into this one. He says,
get it up? Go on, then. Go on, you can read it.
He says, every player who started last night were here before Mourinho came in. The problem is deep-rooted. He has sent them out with a way of playing and set them up. They just didn't turn up. Everything that is happening right now is what was happening under Poch. He was saying the same thing. I'm asking them for one thing. They are doing another. And it is continuing now under Mourinho. Mourinho in, Mourinho out. The problems will be here for the next manager. The squad is stale and far too comfortable. Mourinho has his flaws like we all do, but the problem is far bigger than him.
Yeah, and that's ultimately where I fall down on this. I think Mourinho is definitely underachieving with what he's got, and I think the fact that he doesn't have all the squad on side is ultimately one of his failings. He has to take responsibility for failing to get the squad on side. But on the flip side, these problems predate him, and you have to say that ultimately, as long as these players are still here at the club, I can't see things changing quickly unless a lot of them get rooted out at the moment. Because at the moment, it's causing too much friction. You can clearly tell that, and there's definitely a split in the camp.
Is this rebuild a bigger rebuild job than when Poch first came in?
Then when Poch first came in, no, probably not as big as that.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think it's as big as that.
Because we have said in this, we were going through the squad, we only said 5 or 6 of them deserve to stay.
Yeah, but is it a bigger job than when Poch came in? We're doing worse than we did under AVB and Sherwood at the moment. So maybe you could argue that, but I still think the quality in the squad right now, I think we have more quality now than we did when Poch first took over.
But the attitude just stinks of these players, though.
That's true. clearly the mentality of this team, or a lot of the players, is weighing too much. They got far too comfortable in this team and in this squad, and they got far too comfortable not competing for a first team spot and just happy rotate coming in now and again and just being here and there and not concentrating on the team. So,
shall we have a look at some of the headlines?
Brandon Sebastian says our fringe players can't apply constructive criticism, instead they mope around the pitch. I agree. I think that's also part of a problem with the team. Big problem with the team.
This is The Guardian. He says, slack Spurs suffer Europa humiliation. And then it goes on to say, Mourinho attacks Tottenham's attitude after slide into oblivion. I mean, we really are in oblivion right now. We are dropping faster than a fucking oblivion right now.
It's a full-on crisis. We are in full-on crisis.
So that's The Guardian. Let's have a look at the Mirror. Jose now favourite for the sack. Blasts his Euro flops as Spurs crash out. Do you reckon he's going to be the next Premier League manager to go?
There's a very good chance of that.
Do you reckon he was going to go before the end of the season?
If we completely fall out of contention for top 4, then yeah, I do.
Even before the Carabao Cup final?
Maybe not before the final, but I could see him potentially going before the end of the season if this kind of form continues.
And the Mirror says, Hodman out, referring to Glenn Hoddle's damning comments on Spurs last night. He says, Jose feels the heat after club legend slams diabolical display. He said that no player should have got over a 3 out of 10 there. But then it goes on to give player ratings, and nobody got under a 4.
Really?
Yeah, you got Lloris 5, Aurier 4, Sanchez 6, Dyer 5, Davis 5, Sissoko 4, Winks 5, Lamella 5, Ali 4, Mora 6, and Kane 5. I promise you that we're not going to be as generous as that in our player ratings.
No, we're not. Definitely, they don't deserve anywhere near it. And also, what was this from Joe Hart yesterday? Where is this? Let me try and get it up.
Obviously, it wasn't him though, was it? So
yeah, but proper cock up. You can see here from Joe Hart's Instagram last night.
I hope he sacked his social media team.
Job done, apparently, yesterday. Talking about the former West Ham player he is at the moment. But yeah, apparently one of his social media team thought we had won the game 3-0 as opposed to actually losing the game 3-0. They put that on their Instagram. He actually posted an apology. You can see on his Instagram here. I don't know if you can see it. Can you hear it? Yeah, you can hear it now.
Let me add the sound to it.
No, there's no sound.
Let me add sound. Just pause it for a sec.
One sec. Very difficult today to piece through. Try it. Oh, one sec. No, I can't hear it. Anyway, he's basically just apologising.
Fucking idiot. I hope he sacked his social media team this morning.
I think his face. You don't even need sound. Just look at his face.
Yeah,
it says it all. His face says it all.
Absolute idiots, man.
Look how he's so embarrassed. Look how embarrassed he looks.
I hope he sacked them all.
Yeah, I mean, try again.
As the boy. Morning, guys. I feel like I need to come on and make an apology on behalf of my social media team. It's just been brought to my attention. I've literally just woke up that someone thought that we'd won 3-0 last night. Sloppy as it sounds, it's the truth. Posted job done. You know, that's unacceptable. I'm sure it's annoyed a lot of people, and I'm sorry it's come to that. But
is the audio playing?
It's obviously not come from me. I've got nothing but love for the club and support for the team, and I'm just as down as the boys are. So apologies. Unfortunately, this happens, but yeah, just know it didn't come from any other place other than a typo. All right, have a great day.
A typo, that's a typo. That's absolutely. It's just laughable at this stage, man. I got a super chat here from Russian Bear saying nothing to add that hasn't already been said, but thanks for the content, boys. Big fan of the channel. Well, Thank you very much. But, you know, it's very hard to kind of review these games. But do scroll down, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Going to bring you the rest of the headlines. This is from the Daily Mail. Euro trash. Spurs crash out after horror show. And then you've just got a picture of Harry Kane there on the back. Absolute horror show last night.
Yeah. Man, it's hard to get excited anymore about what the future holds for Tottenham. It's very hard to get excited about it.
Mourinho, we failed at the basics of life. And that's exactly what I've been saying. Like, how are these players going to go home and look their wives, their girlfriends in the face and actually feel proud about themselves? They should all be embarrassed.
I hope they are.
And the other headline is, that's diabolical. Spurs feeble surrender against a team with their coach in jail.
Yep.
Tottenham. Now this is something. Tottenham join unwanted club. Tottenham are just the 4th English side since 2000 to be knocked out Europe after winning the first leg by 2 goals or more. Can you remember the others?
I know Man City against Monaco.
Yeah.
English teams have had a 2-goal lead and given it up.
Chelsea against Barcelona
Chelsea
in 2000.
In 2000, okay.
And Newcastle against AZ Alkmaar in 2007.
I wouldn't have got those. Is that it? Fucking hell. We're an exclusive team, aren't we?
Exclusive club.
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing.
Special bunch of players, mate. They're part of some elite club now. And then the Independent says, beaten Mourinho slams Tottenham players for not respecting job. And whoever doesn't slam these bunch of bottle jobs needs to look at themselves, because they need to be slammed for this stinking out the whole of Croatia last night, stinking out the whole of North London on the weekend.
I would have more criticism for Mourinho if these players weren't doing this under Poch at the back end. If this wasn't happening,
100%.
I would definitely have a lot more criticism for Mourinho. But it's something we've seen at the moment, because I remember under Poch it was so hard to put your finger on. It's like, why aren't the players doing what Poch wants? Why can't he get this team playing anymore? It was so confusing. It was like, these players are clearly good enough than what they were showing. Like, they were good enough not to get beaten 3-0 away to Brighton and stuff like that. They're clearly good enough for that, but they just weren't putting the work in. They weren't putting those hard yards in. And the same, as David Harris perfectly said, the whole team yesterday that played were all here under Pochettino, and a lot of that team yesterday was a lot of the squad that we're talking about. And that obviously caused the issue. I honestly believe when we have that full strength team, you know, when we've got Aurier, Højbjerg, Reguilon, Alderweireld, you got Højbjerg in there, you got Ndombele, you got Kane and Son, you got Lo Celso. Like, it's not too bad. I think whenever everyone's on side and everyone's work, they're all going to be working hard and the quality is there. But as soon as we bring in a lot of the fringe players, the depth in this squad is like at the shallow end of a pool at the moment. That's what it's like. It's so shallow. There's nothing deep. Scratch the surface, and there's nothing beyond it. And it's not. But in terms of application, it's like they're not even desperate to try break into the team. They don't care. It's like they're just happy to play a couple of games when they're called upon. Oh, we'll have an easy Europa League game. I'll just come in. We'll just coast through it. It'll be fine. And that's how I feel.
We're 2-0 up from the first leg. We got no problems today.
Maybe they
feel
like even if they play well, they're not going to get the chances to play in the Premier League because it's only a Europa League game or whatever. I don't care what their feelings are. They just clearly, in terms of being competitive, what Lloris is saying, that competitive nature in them, they don't really. It's not there.
Harry Winks a few months ago came out complaining, saying, "Oh, I need to play more so I can get in the squad for the Euros." Yeah. Are you fucking serious? Getting the squad for the Euros?
He's dreaming.
Come on, man.
You should be focused on getting in the Tottenham team.
Take a long, hard look at yourselves and think about what you're saying. You're completely disgracing yourself on the pitch every time you go on it, and you want regular game time to get in the Euros. Get out my club. I've had enough of these players.
Brandon Sebastian, I can't even think of teams that will buy our dead weight. I feel like we now have a team of Danny Roses at the team, just wasting funds. Yeah, apparently there's rumours as well today. Danny Rose apparently rejected the chance to be paid out of his contract and leave early on a free.
Why?
I don't know. Apparently rejected the chance.
All right. Well,
and now
he's only got a few months left.
But him being around probably isn't helping either.
He's only got a few months left. He's probably liking coming into the training ground, sitting down in the cafe with the lads and, going out and doing a few training drills with the under-23s. And, he's living an easy life at the moment.
I'm saying it's probably not helping having him there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's
100%.
He's probably there, probably whispering things in people's ears and stuff for sure. He's had his problems, well-documented problems with the manager. And that's definitely not a healthy situation, having a player like that in and around the club influencing other players. He's probably still an influential player because he's been there so long. He probably knows all the players really well, and definitely doesn't help anything.
Yeah. Any more tweets, Sim?
Let's see. People tweeting us. There are. We have this picture of Jose Mourinho. People have put him on King Joffrey's face. And that's a famous scene from Game of Thrones when he chokes on his own wife. That's Game of Thrones.
I'm probably the only person in this planet that hasn't watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah, apparently. That's King Joffrey, King Jose being poisoned. That's someone tagged us in that. Eunice says, what's this? Give him a strong defence and he will attack more. What's this? Balagay on this Liga seemed to suggest that the most strongly opposed to Mourinho could include Casillas, Ramos and Higuain, the three captains on the team. On the other side would be Mourinho and the other Portuguese players, Ronaldo, Pepe and Contrao, who all share the same agent. It's very similar to what's going on at Spurs. The conflict can be traced as far back as the January of this year when Casillas and Ramos in particular were very uncomfortable with the attitude Mourinho adopted in an ultra-defensive defeat against Barca. The most read sports newspaper in Spain, Marca, had a cover the next morning showing Ramos and Mourinho face-to-face with a word-to-word transcript of confrontation between the two in training.
Yeah, but a few months ago, or last year, Sergio Ramos came out and said that Jose Mourinho is the best manager he's ever worked with.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said that. And also, at that time, Jose Mourinho had a massive falling out with Pepe and chose Varane over him.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure about that.
And also, that Mourinho side, I'm not sure what game they're referring to there in terms of being ultra-defensive, but his Madrid side broke the records for most goals ever in a La Liga season, most points ever, most wins ever in a La Liga season. So you can't do that
and
just by being defensive.
Won the league out of that Pep Barcelona team.
They stopped Pep winning the league, yeah.
The best Barcelona team probably ever, or definitely in the recent history.
Exactly. And people say, on this article, that article there says people criticise him for going ultra defensive against Barca, but you kind of had to against that Barca team. That had Messi at his absolute prime, like him, Villa, David Villa, and who was it, Pedro, or whatever, and Xavi and Iniesta. These were the best one.
This was prime Barcelona.
This is arguably the best team of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
Arguably the best team of all time.
Exactly.
So,
he knocked them off their perch.
Exactly. For him to have taken the league off them is a massive achievement, and he doesn't get enough praise for that.
People just swipe that past because it's like Real Madrid against Barcelona, but you don't think about what actually he did, because it was actually magic what he did that season.
Absolute magic. To break, imagine, right, you've got that Barcelona team with Messi and all those players and Xavi and Iniesta, right? And they're one of the best teams ever to have played in the world, ever to play the sport in that team. And then you go to the records, you think, all right, surely they should have break records for most goals and most points and most wins and all these things. But no, it's Mourinho's Madrid who have all those records, and that is an achievement that people don't give him enough credit for. And I think at Madrid, you got to remember, before Mourinho went to Madrid, they're not the team they are now, where they've won 4 Champions Leagues out of 5. They hadn't reached a semi-final of the Champions League for a decade.
And they hadn't won the league for a long time.
And they hadn't won the league, I think, for 4 or 5 years, or maybe even longer when he got in there. So this wasn't a Madrid. That was a Madrid faltering at the time. So what he did there, people don't give him nowhere near enough credit for that. This thread continues. Madrid brought him in to win the CL, not the league, having won it 2 times in a row 2 years before he came in. And don't talk to me about the domestic success, because Barca Madrid can't be judged on that in a weak league. He's past it. United, Madrid, Spurs. They won it 2 years out of 2. 2 years before he came. They won it in 06-07 and 07-08. They won it then, and then Pep came and won it 3 times in a row or something, or 2 times in a row. And they were one of the best. That Pep team was known as one of the best of all time. So to get it off him was a massive achievement. Everywhere he goes, he picks fights, wants to alienate club captains and World Cup winner Casillas after 4 months of winning it. Picked fight. First of all, Casillas was in massive decline when he picked the fight with him, and they sold him not so long after, and he never got back to it. And he was awful for Spain in that World Cup. Picked fight with United wherever he goes. It's his way or the highway. That's not how it works. Please don't escape criticism as well. We need a rebuild. Well, look, you can say he's picked fights wherever he's gone, but he's also won trophies wherever he's gone, and you can't overlook that. He's been pretty much very, very, in my opinion, he's been very successful, except for maybe the Man United job. He's very, very successful wherever he's been, so you can't just wipe that away and say it's all bad. I think that's really disingenuous. Don Tomasino, we've never had a winning mentality, and it will be our downfall until we get some experienced world-class players in there to lead the team at important times. Buy a Cruz, a Busquets or a Muller with the attitude to lead the team and get over the line. I mean, that's unrealistic. But, I mean, you can't, it will be our downfall until we get some experienced world-class players. Let
me just go through these super chats quickly. YP Toretta says, I think the next summer would be crucial one. Who goes out, who comes in, could affect the future of Spurs. Worried about Levy making the wrong decisions in the window.
Yeah, definitely.
And got another one from Jerome Cloridor, and he says there is going online that the Zagreb coach called the players and said, lads, it's only Tottenham. All those humiliating quotes from the past keep haunting us. How embarrassing. Yeah, well. Anything else?
We've just got another one. The Colin Lumsden? Do you read that one?
No.
We need a manager that can work with our young players and get rid of the deadwood, but the manager has to be able to spot talent and bring them in.
Yeah.
Yep. And a few more tweets. Bob Spur has been tweeting saying, sacking Jose right now makes no sense at all. We forget he'll be taking over 30 million of our budget. If he gets top 4, maybe, just maybe, he deserves to see who we sell. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think if he does scrape our way to top 4, and given the fact that we're now out of the Europa League, so the need for rotation shouldn't be as much, you would think. You could just have a core of players with Lo Celso now back fit as well.
I think we're going to find a lot about our players for the remainder of the season now.
I think that's the only thing you can pin your hopes on, is that we stick with the starting 11 week in, week out. We don't have too much rotation with us because we won't really need it with 2 competitions. And maybe with those players, we could go on a bit of a run. But
the only thing that saves his job is finishing in the top 4 this season, in my opinion.
The cup, yeah. I guess if he wins,
irrelevant of the cup.
Yeah, I think if he gets top 4 without the cup win, I think he still can keep.
Irrelevant of the cup.
I think top 4, getting us back in the Champions League, will be a big achievement from this stage. Jim Min Lee says, do you think Spurs would have been worse position had Poch stayed on and been given the same money? Do I think we'll be in a worse position? I don't think we'll be in a worse position, but I don't also think that we'll be having a lot of the same problems. Because still we didn't get rid of a lot of players Poch wanted to get rid of. So I think a lot of the problems would have been happening. However, I do think we would probably be a bit higher in the table, and I probably think should be in the quarters of the Europa League if we start Poch. But I don't know. It's tough to say.
It's criminal. It's absolutely criminal what we've done, how we've let this squad erode and rust year on year on year since 2017. It's absolutely criminal what these owners have done. I'm sorry, but it is. From where we were a few years ago to where we are now, it's a disgrace. It's nothing short of a disgrace. And Lloris talking about the kind of attitude in the club, the mentality of the club festering and all that kind of stuff. It's all down to the top.
Jeff B says, good morning, guys. Si's dad here. I'm at home. Si's dad.
Come on.
I'm at home watching the next round draw now, wondering what the hell for. I've followed Spurs for 60 years now and never seen a team so poor, so unmotivated to win, and so lacking in pride. I think he's absolutely spot on.
Spot on.
Absolutely spot on. So poor yesterday. Dan Fries, how can other teams lose a game and bounce back, but we go on to run a bad results? Knew we were going to lose after Arsenal because no bounce back. I was just praying it would be 1-0 and still qualify. Attitude, mentality appalling. This has been a problem pre-Jose. Get in a solid defence we can trust quality-wise, and add some other areas where the attitude is lacking and Jose could achieve something. Yeah, I agree. I think if we had defenders who stood up and were actually men,
be counted for,
exactly, then I think it would be. I think we'd see it be a different season at the moment. But I think the defence has massively let us down, and from a consequence of that, I think because the defence let us down, it's lost trust in from a lot of the players in Jose, and now we're seeing what we're seeing.
Who do you think the right manager is to take care of the rebuild?
Don't know at this time. It's tough. I mean, it depends. It depends what's going to happen in the summer. If we're going to be selling all the players we want to sell, I don't. It's tough to know.
It's definitely not going to happen. It's going to take about 3 years to do this, to get out the players we want to get out.
Yeah. So I don't know what the right course of action is. I don't know what the right. You could say like a Nagelsmann because he can do a lot with a little, but. So it's just another project which, if we bring Nagelsmann and say Harry Kane doesn't stick around, he's like, I can't be asked for another project, then I don't know. I don't know where we go from there. Who are we going to get in to replace Harry Kane? I don't know. You can't really replace Harry Kane.
Look how we did it. Look how we did with Gareth Bale.
Exactly. Also, Bale won't stick around, I think. If Mourinho's not here, he'll be like, this is no point sticking around.
Where's he going to go?
Forget it. He'll probably just chill in Madrid for another year. Why not? See out his contract. El Perro says, as you boys have said before, this squad has had problems since Poch, and we need to stop blaming Jose. If the players can't turn up for a manager with a record like his, then they need to F off and take their shit attitude elsewhere. I agree with that. If you're not prepared to fight for the manager and the cause, then you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here, and I don't think it's always the manager's job to motivate you if you can't have it within yourself to fight for your first team spot and try everything every minute possible to try and stake a claim to be in the first team. You don't deserve to be here. But on the flip side, Mourinho is also management's a big part of the modern game, and he's failed in that aspect.
And you know what? We don't just need when we sack Jose, we don't just need a new manager. Steve Hitchen needs to go as well. And Lee, I want to see Levy go back on his hands and knees to Paul Mitchell, because we need him back. We really do.
Yeah,
I need to see him on his hands and knees, begging him to come back to the club.
Coy says, as distraught as I am from yesterday's performance, I'm still Jose in. We need a transformation, and I have a feeling that if we focus on the league, we can get fourth. Last night was a massive blow, but we have one more chance to save our season. Top 4 plus a Carabao. Come on, you Spurs. The crazy thing is, if we do get top 4 in a Carabao, that's like our most successful season, like in the Premier League era, which is so weird to think about.
So true.
At the moment. The only way we do it is if we stop using these fringe players, we keep with the core, don't rotate so much. We know in terms of injuries, Son is going to be back off international break. Lo Celso, I think, despite looking a bit rusty, also showed some quality at the same time yesterday. A few times. I think the 2 chances that we nearly scored, he pretty much set them up. So, we should have scored those. So I think if we do stick with the core of trusted players who don't need to be rotated so much as they're only playing once a week, maybe you could get some joy out of that. But do I trust them to go on a run? I don't know. It's hard for me to say I do.
How can you trust these lot
Zagreb
to go on a
playing
run?
Villarreal, someone said.
Oh, really?
So we would have got Villarreal.
Well,
so we would have got Unai Emery's Villarreal.
Yeah, what's the other draw?
I don't know. Maybe it's Arsenal and United. Don't know.
The draw. Ajax got Roma.
Is it Arsenal United?
Huh?
Yeah, Arsenal versus Man United.
Really?
Is it? No, Granada versus Man United.
Serious? They said on the radio saying United got Granada. So Arsenal probably got like Slavia Prague or someone.
Slavia Prague.
Well, you know what? Slavia Prague have beaten Rangers and Leicester.
But Arsenal, I think, looks like. I think Arsenal, they're going to meet United in the semis. I think that people are saying. if they both
Well,
win.
let's hope Slavia Prague batter Arsenal, and if not, then let's hope United batter Arsenal.
Oh, Granada, they got Granada. Oh God.
Is it all set up for Unai Emery to beat Arsenal in the Europa League final?
Yeah. Oh my God, that will be beautiful. But still, it's hard to get too happy and enjoy too much enjoyment out of that.
Yeah, I know.
Vishnu says we need to get in Sean Dyche with a budget to spend like Burnley. Might as well bring in a manager of Burnley. Levy and Joe Lewis need to move on before we can win something. I don't want to bring in Sean Dyche. Big Mank says these are the same players that got Pochak. Don't blame Jose. It's the players I've never seen such a lack of pride to play for the shirt. Benji THFC, Jose has until the summer to prove he's worthy of the job, and the players, they're worthy of a badge. If I had my way, Ledley till the end of the season and push some youngsters like Dane through the ranks in some league games. Can't wait for Skip and Cess to return. How can Jose have until the end of the season to prove his worth if you're not going to give him till the end of the season?
What do you mean?
He says Jose has until the end of the season to prove his worth. Then he says it's up to me. I'd give it to Ledley till the end of the season.
It's not up to him, so he has to give him to the end of the season. I got a super chat here from YP Toretta yet again. He says, I know off topic, but it's great watching this channel improving. Can't wait until you guys receive the silver button. Keep up the good work, guys and Coys.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks, mate. George Coy says, I can't see too many clubs willing to pay fees Levy will demand to offload, which is a major sticking point for us to move forward with the squad. And in the end, we'll be left with the same corrosion bar, maybe one or two players. Nothing will change under this board.
Yeah.
And Jeff B sized that again. Let's see if the team responds. If we get into the top four, then the past will be forgotten. If we don't, I don't think it will ever be forgotten after that result. But he says if we don't, then a top-down clear-out is needed. Go back to the long-term plan. Trust the youngsters to come in. Give them a few years to develop into a consistent team. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it from everyone.
I bet you Skip's probably not looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, at the moment, he's probably not looking at it great.
Super chat here from Adam1882 saying Champions League draw looks tasty. But look, I think that's probably all we got time for today. For now, we'll be back live in a couple of hours for the pre-match press conference reaction and the pre-match fan show for the Aston Villa game this weekend. If we lose, that is probably, you could probably kiss goodbye to our slight chance of top four this season.
Yeah.
So it is a massive game this weekend. We've got to somehow dust ourselves off and pick ourselves up. I think we're going to see a lot in terms of what Jose's thinking about in terms of this mentality of the squad with the team he picks this weekend. So we'll have to wait and see. I would say that thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a long, hard slog since the Arsenal game, to be honest. Everyone scroll down, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. We'll be back live in a couple of hours. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs. Bye.